What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Gooner channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a question that I don't really want to discuss because it's a bit too close to my heart, and that is namely, is Emile Smith Rowe being prepared for sale this summer? Is he on his way out of Arsenal? Is he on his way out of Arsenal to raise funds to go towards what is looking like becoming and what looks like the Cronkies have rubber stamped as a record transfer window for Arsenal? Is the sale of Smith Rowe going to help augment funds in order to bring in the kinds of players that Arteta feels are going to challenge? In fact, what has happened to Emile Smith Rowe should be the title of this video. Because, and for those of you, I'm just going to do a really quick recap. Emile Smith Rowe has been at the club since he was 10 years old, and as a young player, was always talked about with great potential. Joined the England under-17s to win the under-17 World Cup, and started to get a little bit of game time in 2019, playing in the Europa League and in the League Cup. And that's where I first saw him play. And I have to say, from the very first, I'd heard great things about him, was really excited about seeing him play, and he just captivated me instantly. And in January 19, after successfully playing in the Europa League and the League Cup, it was decided to give Emile Smith Rowe some time abroad, and he joined Ralf Rangnick's RB Leipzig in January of 2019. However, owing to groin injuries, he only achieved 28 minutes in 3 substitute appearances and was brought back to London. By January 2020, he was rehabilitated enough and it was decided that he should try loaning him again. This time he went to Championship side Huddersfield and made a real impact quite quickly. He did play 19 times on loan to Huddersfield, and Danny Cowley, the then manager, responding to requests by the fan base to play him more often, said, look, it's frustrating, but I do have to protect this young player. Again, injury was never far away for Emile Smith Rowe. He did play 90 times, and importantly, he scored a goal at the end of the season, which ensured that Huddersfield stayed up. Very promising. He started the next season on the bench for our Charity Shield match against Liverpool. He didn't actually play, but he was on the subs bench quite a bit, and there was always this hope that he was about to break in. Now, cast your mind back to the 2020-21 season. After what was an appalling first 3 or 4 months, we had been beaten absolutely everywhere. Bottom 3, just a terrible period. I have to say, at that point, I was starting to think Arteta wasn't cut out for the job. I kind of resigned myself to just giving him a few years to see what he could do, but I felt he was too young, didn't have the man management. And one of the things that was frustrating all of us was that he wasn't playing Martinelli, wasn't giving this player that we'd seen glimpses of a chance. And that was also true of Emile Smith Rowe. One of the other things, though, was that he was playing Willian over and over again when everyone and his dog could see that Willian wasn't cut out for Arsenal football. It didn't look like he was cut out for the Premier League at that point. Boxing Day 2020, Willian not playing. Emile Smith Rowe came in a number 10 position, and what a turnaround that game was. We saw what we're now used to from Arsenal, which was verve, flair, drive, belief, and we beat Chelsea 3-1. Back then, a good team. No one gave us a chance of winning. And in the next 5 games, Emile Smith Rowe kept his place with 3 assists and even a goal in the FA Cup against Newcastle. We had started to get our Arsenal back. And look, Emile Smith Rowe is a kind of exciting player alongside Bukayo Saka, Martinelli. We have these young players who totally rejuvenated the team. Along with Kieran Tierney, I'll give him credit for doing that as well. It was these kind of performances that meant that the start of the next season would go on to be Emile Smith Rowe's real breakthrough season. He played 33 times and was our second top goal scorer. He was nominated for Premier League Young Player of the Season, PFA Young Player of the Year, and well, the future looked really bright. Now, obviously, in that period, we brought in Martin Odegaard, but there was definitely opportunity for both of them to play up front, understudy for each other, and Emile Smith Rowe is playing on the left. Now, the start of this season, he didn't make the squad for the game against Palace. He was a substitute in the 4 of the 5 games that followed, But by October, it was announced that he had a groin injury, the same groin injury that he'd been carrying for 3 years, all the way back to the RB Leipzig time, which kept him out, and that they were going to operate on it. And look, you don't want to see any of your favourite players out for a long period of time, but if it is that kind of treatment that is going to mean he doesn't have to continue to play in difficult, you do think, wow, if he's playing with an injury up to now, what was he going to be like after that? So with heavy heart, but we let him go. And this season has been this season. We've seen breakthroughs, and in January, we actually saw Emile Smith Rowe returning from injury alongside the same time Reece Nelson, but he didn't feature on the suspension until February. But by then, of course, we'd signed Leandro Trossard. Now, what this meant is like Martinelli's obviously first pick on the left. Leandro Trossard became the understudy to him. And Odegaard, obviously, as captain, plays in that number 10 position, even if he doesn't wear the number 10 shirt, which Emile Smith Rowe does still have, and I'm really pleased to see that. What has been surprising all of us, though, is just how little game time Smith Rowe has had since returning. In total, this season, he has had 11 substitute appearances, 4 of them before the surgery, 7 of them since. And in the total combined 11 substitute performances, he has only managed something like 92 minutes and 1 assist. That assist coming in a game against Bournemouth, a game where he's had the most minutes. He had 46 minutes in that game, coming on for the injured Trossard, but also being taken off near the end. So he didn't make a full match even on the bench as a substitute, and that led to questions around his match fitness. Obviously, he's going to be rusty because he hasn't had minutes, but since even the Bournemouth game, he has not had minutes. And what was really surprising was that he wasn't even given time in matches, perhaps because we weren't runaway leaders in matches, we weren't winning 3-0, but he wasn't brought on in games where it looked like we needed a goal either. Now, around about March, obviously concerns had arisen. People started talking about maybe he's fallen out of favour. I started hearing, and rumours started coming out of the training ground, that he's very much being groomed to change position from wide left and number 10 to that sort of number 8 position currently occupied by Granit Xhaka. A box-to-box midfield position. One I think would really suit him. My concerns were that perhaps his tackling and defensive game wasn't quite strong enough. Looking into it, actually, he does tackle well. And now, I wasn't so worried at that point because I thought, okay, if they're retraining in positions, Xhaka plays almost every match. But then when Xhaka didn't play against Southampton because of illness, or maybe he did have a fight or something, but at the end of a little spell of poor form for Granit Xhaka, he didn't play. Fabio Vieira played instead of him, as he'd done in that number 8 position in the Aston Villa game, parts of the Aston Villa game. And that's very much at odds with this idea that, you know, if Emile Smith Rowe is being groomed to play for Granit Xhaka, and Granit Xhaka's not playing, but he's still bringing Fabio Vieira. Now, I've heard lots of things about this. I think it's too soon to decide on Fabio Vieira, but I've heard a lot of people saying that, you know, we have to play Fabio Vieira. We spent £34 million on him. I think that's a terribly stupid idea. You don't play you shouldn't be playing someone just because of what they cost you. Look at the trouble we had with Pepe trying to make it work, desperately trying to hope that the 72 million we paid for him would come good, and it's not going to. At the moment, as a little sidebar, it looks like there isn't a team out there that wants him at any price, which is really difficult and complicated. Moving away from that a little bit, if you feel like we're playing Fabio Vieira ahead of Emile Smith Rowe, who might be better than him, just because we spent a lot of money on him, I'm okay with spending a lot of money on Fabio Vieira. I'm not decided he's terrible yet. I do think he's having a lot of trouble adjusting from Portugal to the UK, but I've made this point before. Robert Pires had a bad first season with us, and I don't think anyone would say it didn't work out for him. But for Fabio to get the game, to get time on that pitch against Southampton, he had a shocker, an absolute Reggie, and that just adds to this. Now, we all know that there is a huge amount of transfer business being done this season by Arsenal, and Emile Smith Rowe is a player that we could sell for 30 to 35 million. I'm a little troubled by a world in which Moses Caicedo at 21, who's had a good season and a half, I mean a very good season to be fair, but I don't know if it's necessarily better than Emile's season last year. And if he should be at least 80 million, and I'm a bit concerned that we might be letting Smith Rowe go for 35 million. Yes, it balances the books because we didn't spend any money on him. But the big question has been, why isn't Arteta playing him? Now, when asked, Arteta recently in the last couple of weeks said he is pushing, but it's about mentality. I'm paraphrasing him terribly now. But he said, look, it's not about what you've done before. It's about where you are now and what you contribute to the side. He is pushing. Emile Smith Rowe himself has said he's desperate to play, but has never talked about leaving. I don't think he's in that frame of mind at all at the moment. And I don't think there's been a falling out. And I don't think that Arteta doesn't rate him. I think he does think, he does think highly of him. And I think we can all say that Smith Rowe has kind of proven himself in the Premier League. If he's match fit, if his injury is better, and the injury was treated and he's 100% better now, so he's pain-free for the first time in 3 years, we should be seeing him play. But that's what journalism is. A lot of people looking at it going, well, he's obviously being sold. They're going to sell him. And that's what you're seeing a lot. But today, Kevin Campbell added to what I've been hearing from various sources, not like I'm an insider or anything, but, what you read from people who do know more about it. Kevin Campbell will certainly have more insight to this than me. And he said the same thing again, the same narrative coming out, that Emile Smith Rowe is being groomed as a Xhaka replacement. Now, in the summer where we're looking at bringing in Declan Rice, who I think is a better understudy or replacement for Thomas Partey, Moises Caicedo, who can replace, again, is more of an understudy for Thomas Partey or Declan Rice. Now, either of those could be interchangeable. We do need strength and depth. Having a player like Emile Smith Rowe who could play left, who could play as an understudy for Odegaard and could make that box-to-box role his own with the kind of flair that he has on the ball and running at teams, I think his goal contribution from that position will be better than Granit Xhaka's has been. I really, really hope that I'm right about this and that Emile Smith Rowe will stay. But I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I have a feeling that almost all of us are going to agree that we want to keep him. We don't want to see one of our own going. The Croydon De Bruyne has become a figurehead for the transformation in Arsenal, and we're getting our club back, getting the fans pumped again, and the excitement that he can engender when he's on the ball it's difficult to find other players who can do that. Certainly, I don't think Fabio Vieira is an Emile Smith Rowe. And if we're going to sell one, could we not maybe sell him? Let me know your thoughts and comments below. As it stands, I am predicting that Emile Smith Rowe will play a significant part in next season and will not be sold. But, hey, what do I know? You tell me what you think. And if you've watched to this point, first of all, massive love and respect. Hey, listen, if you've watched this far, I'm going to pop up a couple of videos that you might be interested in the suggestions box. Have a watch of those. And I am here every single day talking about the club that we love. I would love you to join me. If you have a weak memory or you don't remember to come every day by yourself, the subscribe button will notify you most of the time. If you also hit that little bell, it will notify you every single time. May even wake you up early in the morning to let you know, don't forget to come to the Gooner channel. Until I see you again, and please do leave your comments. I'm absolutely loving the comments. But until I see you again, be lucky. Lots of love.